Hey, I hope everyone is having a good day. I was going to go ahead and start looking into the Jason Ellis murder that happened in Bardstown. And I know a lot of you all think that Nick Hoke could have had something to do with that one. And we're kind of waiting to see if the arrest for Chris to summon others. So the first one that I want to look at is Jason Ellis. I'm not very familiar with this one, but I hear a lot about it. So I thought I would come live. And what I'm looking at right now is on WHAS 11. It's a news station here in Kentucky, and they done a piece on him back in March of this year. So I thought we would listen to their video first and then kind of go through a brief timeline.
Your dedicated Cintas service reps help make sure your team has the essential products they need to help keep them looking great, feeling confident, and ready to be their best. Get
Bear with me for some
Cintas
reason.
and get ready for the workday.
Right now at 6 o'clock, the Bardstown community in southern Kentucky there is gathering for a memorial to honor the life of Officer Jason Ellis. Ellis was killed in an ambush attack 10 years ago today, and we are giving you a live look at the service where you can see family, friends, and even some first responders are gathering right outside the police department to remember their friend. 10 years later, and his case is still unsolved. It's our top story right here at 6. I'm Shay McAllister. The young officer was shot and killed on May 25th, 2013. He had just signed off right around 2 a.m. and took his normal route home, but he didn't make it. Instead, he was lured out of his cruiser to move some tree branches, shot and killed when he bent down. Bobby McSwine and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie spent the day in Bardstown talking to the community about the officer's impact 10 years later.
The shock of tragedy that shook a small town in Nelson County still lingers for some residents who remember what happened on May 25th, 2013.
It was just kind of crazy, like kind of realizing like Bardstown's always been just one of those beautiful small towns.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was just a shock, to even think anyone would do that.
Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis was shot and killed in an ambush while clearing debris blocking exit ramp 34 off the Bluegrass Parkway.
I still drive that ramp every once in a while when I'm going to work, and just driving through there, it's kind of an eerie feeling, just knowing what happened there. It's kind of somber to drive over that area.
10 years later, his murder remains unsolved, and the community still honors his memory. A local bank has displayed this photo for years. Ellis, a fallen hero.
I think it shows a lot of respect to him and shows probably the character he was. I didn't know him as a person before, but heard a lot about him, obviously, since it all happened. But I think it kind of speaks volumes to him and the community as a whole.
Betty Keaton went to church with Ellis's wife, Amy. She says the young couple had so much love left to give their children into Bardstown.
I'm just glad that they're not letting it go. I mean, this person needs to be caught. I mean, how are they ever going to have closure, not knowing what's happened, and you're thinking, you just hope something like that doesn't happen again.
While some have moved away and others are too young to know anything, those who do are glad Ellis's memory will live on.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too.
But that was a good little recap. Give me just a second. From what I found, this is a fairly accurate timeline. Um, it doesn't elaborate till. Okay, so on June the 4th of 2013, it says that the Kentucky State Police asked to speak to anyone in Nelson County or the surrounding area who had tree limbs were found at the scene were not from the area where they were found. So, wow. I wonder if there was any way to connect that back to any of Nick Hoke's family members. That would be really interesting to see. Okay, so it looks like let's go ahead and go into this and see what's it's about from back then. Okay, so see when this was from. So this, let's go ahead and watch this. I'm totally new to this one pretty much, so like I said, I'm just taking you all along as I dig it.
Late-breaking developments in the murder of a Bardstown police officer right now at 6, who authorities are focusing on as part of the investigation.
I called the credit card company, and while I was actually on the phone with them, they had used it again.
A phone call leads police to 2 theft suspects. Tonight, an alert victim talks to WLKY about helping break up the multi-county ring. And prosecutors dropped some of the charges against a triple murder suspect, but that does not mean he will be set free. Good evening, I'm Vicki Dorch. State police released new details about their investigation into the murder of a Bardstown police officer. They confirmed some of the debris Jason Ellis removed from the road when he was shot was tree limbs. Drew Douglas is live at the Kentucky State Police Post in E-Town, where a news conference was held late this afternoon. Drew?
Kentucky State Police want to speak to anyone in Nelson County or surrounding areas that have had their trees trimmed or removed in the days leading up to the murder of Officer Jason Ellis. They would not say how large the tree limbs were or what tree the limbs may have come from. Investigators wanted to get this out to the public because they say they didn't think this was something people would think to call them about. Trooper Brad Riley says tips have come in steady since Ellis was killed near exit 34 of the Bluegrass Parkway on the early morning hours of May 25th. Riley says detectives have been working around the clock following up on all of those tips. He says they have interviewed several people, but they still are without any suspects or strong leads. He hopes releasing this new information will help crack the case.
We just want people to think back to the days leading up to that. Anything that they may have seen suspicious in the area, anything they may have heard, not just regarding the debris that we've talked about here at this press conference, but anything.
Reward money for information leading to an arrest of the killer of Officer Jason Ellis has now topped $160,000. Live in Elizabethtown, Drew Douglas, WLKY News.
All right, thanks a lot, Drew. Now, as the hunt for Officer Ellis's killer takes the latest turn, the community continues to rally around his family. Marissa Alter is in Bardstown with the story.
Officer Jason Ellis's police car turned memorial is gone from this spot, but there are signs everywhere in this community that the fallen hero and his family will not be forgotten. At 3D Graphics in Bardstown, business is taking a back seat to honoring a fallen hero.
We're doing nothing but printing Officer Ellis's shirts, which is great. We don't mind it. It puts us a little bit behind schedule, but it's for a good cause.
All proceeds will go to the funds to help Officer Ellis's family and catch his killer.
We'll send you a picture.
Orders for the shirts have come in from across the Commonwealth and beyond.
We've got some from Ohio, Illinois. We're on our third printing as of this morning.
Which brings the total to 300 shirts. She'll soon also be stocking Cincinnati Reds hats with Officer Ellis's number on the back. The 33-year-old's first responder partners are also honoring the murdered officer.
We all got together and thought about doing a window decal with his badge on it, his end of watch date.
At first, the department kept the idea in-house for firefighters.
Then we opened it up to the public, and it's been phenomenal.
They sold 200 so far and have another 200 ordered, with all the money going to the Ellis family. As that fund grows, so too does the reward fund as donations continue to pour in.
Most of it is truly coming from people, citizens here, Louisville. I have a message of a gentleman in New York called to get our address. The other day we had one from California.
He says the one thing all those calls and letters have in common, anger that someone would ambush and kill an officer.
We all want a name. We want that closure. That's what we're hoping this reward will do.
For information on the Officer Ellis memorabilia or to find out how you can donate to the family and reward funds, just head to our website, WLKY.com. In Bardstown, I'm Marissa Alter, WLKY News.
And again, Kentucky State Police are asking anyone in the Nelson County area who may have had tree work done recently or seen trees being trimmed to give them a call. That phone number is 270-766.
I'm extremely curious to know now if they, which I'm sure they did, if the FBI or the Kentucky State Police, either one, had mind enough to look into Nick Hoke and Brooks and all of their family to see if, because they were property owners, they had farms, things of that nature. So, I mean, I guess it's possible that they went out there and got them themselves, though. We all know that Nick is a bit smarter than Brooks was, so he'll be a little bit harder to catch, I'm sure. Okay, so that news was from the 5th. Next one mentioned is June the 27th of 2013. Police returns to the scene where Ellis was killed. The Louisville Metro Police Department dive team searched a nearby pond after a canine unit indicated there might be something there. Huh. That's definitely somewhere I want to go back and look, see where it is in relativity to where he was found. Okay, so it looks like July was pretty slow. Then here, the end of August, August 26th, the FBI upped the ante with digital billboards and added $50,000 to the existing reward, bringing it to a grand total of $218,000 for information. I was about to say how the news showed the community pulling together. I was shocked that no one had come forward because I'm sure somebody was talking to somebody. But now I'm even more shocked. That's a chunk of change. Most people would rat their mother out for that. So I guess if Nick is responsible for this and Brooks knows, he better hope his brother don't buckle, because if he does, I'm sure a confession, or not a confession, a statement from Brooks is all they would need to get Nick. Because, I mean, I'll give him this much. I did hear that he passed that polygraph, so who knows? Who knows? We'll see. I've heard so much. That's why I wanted to go back to the beginning. Okay, so it looks like things kept real quiet over the holidays. January 10th of 2014, Pennsylvania State Police investigated a potential connection between Ellis's death and a road rage shooting, but it was unfounded. Nothing out of the ordinary. Not in these cases, anyways. May 13th, Ellis' name was added to the National Fallen Heroes Monument as part of the National Police Week in Washington, D.C. June 25th, Governor Steve Beshear signs a bill during a private ceremony with Ellis' family renaming a stretch of the Bluegrass Parkway in Bardstown in honor of Ellis. May 23rd of 2017, so that's a big gap. Ellis' beloved canine, Fago, dies days before the anniversary of his slaying. Him and Ellis worked together for 6 years. Was it? Okay. May of 2016, they resurrected a new memorial in Nelson County for him. On the back of it, they put the names of 5 men who died in the line of duty, including Ellis. I'm not going to click on that. Of course, you guys can go over to the WLKY website and see it for yourself. I'm not going to click on it though. January 20th of 2023, a special prosecutor is appointed to work his case, and as well as the cases for Crystal Rogers and Tommy Ballard. So that's awesome to know because we know we've seen a lot of movement in the Crystal Rogers case to arrest so far. And one that I think we wondered if we would ever see Brooks arrested. It seemed like he was wiggling out of every little thing they could get him in. Let's see, here's something from back in that day. Okay, this is about the special prosecutor appointed. Now, I did see something about this on Facebook, and that's not legit stuff, I know, but I always like the talk and see what's going on. So I did see a statement from the sister of the Netherlands girls, and she was talking about how she was hoping that they would be named in this, but they weren't. And she seemed to be a little offended by that, which I totally get. However, before I was under the impression that they wanted that left alone. So that was interesting to know. So that's something that I think I'll dig into more now that I know that the family actually wants people to be talking about it. Let's go ahead and listen to this. Here we go.
Hey, did you hear about this Precious Sevens?
Yes, it's a game that you can play 3 different ways.
Agents focused their investigation on a farm connected to the family of Roger's ex-boyfriend, Brooks Houck.
And this is the latest search by the FBI for the missing mom. WLKY's Alexis Matthews has been at that scene all day. She joins us live from Bardstown with the new developments. Alexis?
For the most part, they've been working about a minute down.
Well, Jennifer, Rick, this is not the first time that the property here on Pascal Ballard Lane has been searched as it relates to Crystal Rogers' disappearance. But Rogers' mother says she's thankful that the FBI is taking another look, and she hopes it leads to some answers. On Monday, the FBI conducted a search on land owned by the family of Brooks Houck, Crystal Rogers' ex-boyfriend. Authorities named him a main suspect in Rogers' 2015 disappearance, but he was never formally charged. Rogers' mother, Sherry Ballard, hopes this go-round any clues recovered will lead to her daughter's whereabouts.
I'm just praying God is giving me the answers today or tomorrow or whenever it takes. And I'm happy that they're back on that farm. I've never felt satisfied with that farm.
The property has been searched multiple times, even by Ballard herself. But she says the property makes her uneasy because not only did Rogers frequent there.
My daughter was always at that farm. They would go over there and take her little boy and the other kids, and they would roast marshmallows and hot dogs and stuff on that farm.
But it's believed to be the last place the mother of 5 was before she went missing.
I guess as a mom, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, gosh, could she still be there?
Federal agents set up a tent on the farm Monday and were seen taking items out of a barn. The ground search was coupled with an aerial search, drones to get views of the property from above, and the FBI says they also plan to fly a plane over.
Everything they do is a blessing to me because it may take me one step closer to finding my daughter.
With each search for Rogers in the past 7 years, Ballard says it always gives her mixed emotions, but she holds on to her faith and her family, including Rogers' 2 daughters seen here, that justice will be served.
These searches are hard. They're very difficult for me, but I just have to get through them. That's just I have to do it for my husband and my daughter.
Now, right now, we don't know if the FBI will.
Okay, so that was interesting, kind of touching on all of them. Not so much focusing on Ellis, though. Let me see real quick where I'm at. Here. Okay, so now in present day, it says while the police say that they still get tips on the case, especially around the anniversary of his death, they still don't know answers. The FBI still encourages people to call 1-800-CALL-FBI or 502-263-6000 with any tips, or you can submit one online, and it has a link there for you to click. There will also be a memorial to remember Ellis, or there was a memorial to remember Ellis on May the 25th at the police department in Bardstown. And from what I could tell in the videos I've seen, there was a very good turnout. The community really turns out for Officer Ellis and his family. So that's how you kind of know whoever done this kind of knew what they were doing. I mean, um, it said that he was lured off the highway with debris. So when he went to clearing those debris, which I can only assume is the limbs that weren't from the area, somebody had planted them there. So when he went to clear that out of the way, hmm, yeah, somebody planned it well. And one connection that I do make to the Crystal Rogers murder right off the bat is, of course, the Bluegrass Parkway. And they both weren't terribly far from the Bardstown exit. Crystal's car was found at mile marker 14. Of course, we don't know where she was murdered at. We haven't gotten that far yet. And we don't know if the FBI has even gotten that far yet. Yeah. See here. So that gave us a quick rundown. They had searched the pond. I'm going to just see what was still kind of going around back then. Like I said, I'm just bringing you guys along with me as I dig. Okay, this is the FBI's website. Okay, there's Officer Ellis. There's their poster where they're seeking information. So the FBI is offering a reward up to $50,000 for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the individual or individuals responsible for the death of Bardstown, Kentucky police officer Jason Ellis. Okay, so that's interesting. Down here in the details, it says that he was killed after finishing his shift at the Bardstown, Kentucky Police Department. Said that he had signed off on the radio and that he was driving home when he encountered branches blocking the road on exit 34. And to ensure the safety of the public, he got out of his vehicle to clear the branches. While he was attempting to do this, he was shot several times and died shortly after. So when it said he was shot several times, if I'm not mistaken, I read that he was shot several times with a 12-gauge shotgun, which I don't know, that's not the murder weapon I would choose. Not a shotgun. No. Anyways, he was discovered by a passing motorist. Officer Ellis was a canine handler. He had a narcotics dog, and he also had patrol duties. And he was a youth baseball coach. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. I'm really not seeing anything that's coming straight out and saying that they have a suspect or anything. So I'm very, very curious to know how people are connecting this to Nick Hoke. I do not question that. I feel like you have a legitimate reason as to why. I just haven't found the evidence yet. So if anybody would leave it down in the comments and we can go from there. Point me in the direction that you all are looking because I haven't seen it yet. Okay. Most of the articles seem to be about his legacy, which is great stuff. Okay, here seems to be a 10-year video. We watched one of those. So, seems like there's a theory that he was murdered for burglary. I don't know. Okay, so this is 5 years. I like to go back to some of the older articles because they're fresh on people's minds. So when they do interviews and things, um, I feel personally like they're more accurate. Hello, Truth and Justice. It's good to see you. I agree with you. He's guilty. Um, if nothing else, he's guilty for helping conceal Crystal's murder because we all remember his little freaking out phone call when he called Brooks during the interrogation, and the investigator overheard all that. So, yeah, he wasn't concerned because he wasn't involved. We do know that. Hmm. I guess what I'm digging for today is I'm trying to see what connects, um, besides the Bluegrass Parkway, what connects these two together. Because I know the going thing is Tommy, Jason, and Crystal's is all connected. Okay, so like I said, this was from 5 years later. This was May 25th, 2018. Letting everybody know that he still remembered. Talking about his wife trying to get on with her life and raise their two sons. He was a father. Hmm. Looks like she was able to go on with her life. That is awesome. Okay, yeah, so this is mainly about his legacy. Let's see. So it says right here that he was murdered at 2 a.m. So yeah, those were planted. Yeah, her father, Tommy. Is that who we're speaking of, Truth and Justice? So my thing is, um, do they ever tell what kind of branches it was, what kind of tree it came from, who they had investigated, which way it pointed them in, anything of that nature? Let's see here. I don't know. So yeah, they say that he set a trap so that he would have to get out of his car to clear it. So I guess there was no way to pass. Yeah, this one looks like it has them baffled. Now with Tommy, I do think that he was getting too close to the hoax, and that's why he was killed. Um, I'm hoping to see more charges for Brooks as well as an arrest for Nick in regards to that as well. Um, Hoping if Lawson's the one who ratted and caused or helped with this arrest, then Maybe two of them will roll on Nick to get him. Mhm. Just briefly scanning over to see if it's got any details I haven't heard. Okay. Hmm. Seems like a lot of this too, people does this in threes. Okay, there it is. Murdered for burglary. So they're thinking he was robbed. Is that a thing? Yeah, I definitely think they did as well. Um, I really feel like that's the only logical thing in my mind because that's the most recent thing that's happened and nothing else new. They had the evidence that they had, some time ago, so that's the only new piece to it. Hopefully, they'll keep offering those deals and getting them to turn. Okay, this is Yahoo News, and I don't know how much I really trust Yahoo News, but I'm just gonna see what the gist of it is here. So there's an update from Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Named Commonwealth Attorney Shane Young is a special prosecutor in the investigation into the deaths of Jason Ellis, Crystal Rogers, and Tommy Ballard. We had read that. Hmm, that's not good. It was his memorial had been vandalized, I guess. Okay. That's more about Crystal Rogers, which we will get deeper into later. Like I said today, I just want to focus on Jason Ellis because I know so little about this one. Okay. So, in the 5 years since Ellis' murder, police have interviewed numerous people of interest connected with the case, but none of the leads has ever resulted in an arrest. Though the inmates' claims about Ellis' death have yet to be substantiated by law enforcement, Bauer and Stanton opened their inquiry into the details he provided. The inmate told Bauer that Ellis was shot because he was close to an investigation of a ring storage shed burglaries and business burglaries. According to the inmate, the burglarized storage units contained high end antiques and drugs. Okay, this is making more sense now. And the inmate also said that at least 4 men were hired by an unidentified person to carry out Ellis' murder, but the inmate did not disclose how he knew them. And when asked why this information hasn't come out before, the inmate explained to Bauer that men involved were eliminated, quote unquote, and someone had tied up loose ends, quote unquote, to keep the investigation quiet. Bauer and Staten later visit Ellis' family to see if they could shed light on this new information. Though they were unable to verify any of the inmates' claims, Ellis' family contended that they always thought it was more than one person involved in the shooting. This belief, however, has never been shared with them or confirmed by law enforcement. The Kentucky State Police say they are looking into the inmates' claims about the case. So I would like to see whatever come of that. Which I know people in jail, they'll just talk and say shit. Like, I understand that, but that's interesting. And that would make sense. Um, I'm sure Nick was a dirty cop, obviously. Okay, so that was from 5. Here's one from 10. Hmm. Kentucky police take to YouTube for help. Huh. Let's look at this because that's a rare occasion. Leave it to the good old bluegrass state over here. Okay, so this was in November of 2013. I'm going to go ahead and play this. We might be just a bunch of old country bumpkins over here in Kentucky, but I'll tell you all what. These state police boys, they can be intimidating. I mean, it takes a lot to make me cry, and one bout got me to do it. It was just too much, too much. Well, oh, I don't even want to talk about what I was just doing. I ain't gonna pass on that, guys. My sleeping schedule's been totally messed up. I wasn't just trying to get a picture to play, a screenshot to play. Okay, so looks like they filmed a YouTube video on the exit ramp, and that one of the state police stated in the video that an award for information in the case exceeds $180,000. I'll keep my eye out to see what it is present day. Kind of weird they don't have a link to the video there. But talking about YouTube videos, I would like to go up and see which ones are listed up here. Let's see. Here's something from 2 weeks ago, so this is very, very recent. Let's go ahead and look at this.
I was 12
Fair
when
use
I
and all
was
that good
raped by my
stuff, guys.
stepfather. Daniel Cameron says there should be no exceptions for rape and incest, and a 12-year-old girl must have the baby of her stepfather who raped her. It's unthinkable.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not with physical products.
Now at 5 on WHS 11 News, our coverage on the big development last week and one of the top mysteries in Bardstown is continuing here tonight. In Nelson County, there are 4 families waiting for answers in 4 different high-profile cases. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Shay McAllister. One of those families got big news last week with an arrest in the Crystal Rogers case, but her
Shay
family isn't the
McAllister is
only
one
one
that's been
paying
on these,
attention.
since she was 22
Do you
years
feel
old.
like
That's
an
when she
arrest
first
in Crystal's
started.
case is bringing you closer to some movement in Jason's?
I think it's hard for us because there hasn't been a lot of new information on Jason's case from the very beginning. We've kind of been at a standstill from the beginning. For us, there's a possibility that the cases are connected. And so for us, that makes us very hopeful that if they can make traction on one, that it'll bring answers for others. But then also it could not be connected. And then where does that leave us when there's not been any new information on Jason's case?
Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis was killed on his way home from work in May of 2013. Investigators called it an ambush, describing purposefully placed tree limbs right on the highway exit that lured that public servant from his vehicle before he was shot and killed. Well, today in an interview you'll only see here on WHAS 11, I sit down with the Ellis family.
What were they even doing there?
I don't know.
Messing with mom, obviously.
For this family, photos are sacred, bringing them back to better times.
There he is. That's Jason.
Memories this mother
Yeah, that's when he went to the police academy.
hopes to never forget
Oh, my little boy.
is closed.
There is some momentum happening in other cases. We're kind of getting that boost again to feel a little more confident that time could be coming for answers.
Investigators have never fully linked Jason's case to Crystal Rogers, but in 2020, the FBI told us they believed answers in one Bardstown case could lead to answers in others. The family agrees.
It's hard to not go there though too, because there seem to be similar people connected to each case.
So news of the arrest in Crystal's case was welcomed. It was also surprising.
It's hard not to be caught off guard, though. You know, you scroll Facebook or pop on the news, and then it's all these developments. Investigator.
So when they said they feel like it was similar types of people or involved, that could have meant Nick, or it could have meant police officers. 'Cause like I said, we don't know for sure, but we can only assume he was a crooked cop.
Can't even call me and tell me that this is kind of coming down the pipeline.
What's your communication like with investigators on Jason's case?
That's probably been the most disappointing part for us because we don't hear anything. Outside, maybe the first couple of months after Jason was killed, it's kind of been radio silence.
They're in Kentucky. We're in Ohio. Right. So we're not easy access like maybe Crystal's mom.
Do you guys ever go to Bardstown for any reason?
We were just there not too long ago.
Yeah? Yeah. What's it like when you visit?
Loving. They're very open arms with us and very loving with us.
I definitely think there's also an eerie feel. It is. That's what I was going to
Because
say.
there's a lot of new people we don't know.
It's weird. And you feel it. It's odd. You feel the dark cloud and the tension.
For Lacey, Jason's baby sister, there's a reason she feels that way. Some lingering questions about who might be behind her brother's death.
What police officer's case is still open in the United States? It makes me think that they don't want it solved. They're burying stuff under the rug. And Or there's too much that's going to come out. Yeah. And that's what makes me nervous.
The one thing they're certain of.
I know the FBI isn't not fully on Jason's case, but I think there's more going on behind the scenes than we even know.
And they hope when answers do arrive, they get all of them.
We want to make sure that when this goes down, everybody who was responsible have to answer for it. We deserve it. Yeah. I think we all deserve it. I think everybody in that town that has lost somebody deserves it.
Kentucky State Police is the lead on Jason Ellis's case, but the FBI says they're accepting and working tips on all of the Bardstown cases. You can report information anonymously at crystalrogerstaskforce.com/tips. Now, more on that man arrested in Crystal Rogers' case last week. It's Joseph Lawson. He's charged with tampering with physical evidence and conspiracy to commit murder. His next court date is set for the end of October. Lawson's currently in federal custody.
That really doesn't implicate Nick specifically, but I do think that we can confirm from that they feel law enforcement was involved. I can only assume because of the burglary stuff. Let's see here. So after 10 years. Let's see what his widow believes these days.
Who killed Jason Ellis, and how are those who loved him coping after all this time?
WDRB Stefan Johnson has been digging into what happened a decade ago. Stefan?
Jason Ellis's widow believes the killer will be brought to justice. She tells me that confidence comes from her faith in God and the people in charge of the investigation.
Next thing I know, I'm getting a knock on the door.
It has been 10 long years since a knock at the door changed her life forever.
I had never met the chaplain before that night, but it was the chaplain and another officer.
The chaplain and officer were there to deliver devastating news.
They just said, "I'm sorry, there's been an accident." And I'm like, "What do you mean there was an accident?" And I said, "Is he okay?"
Amy Ellis Brown is the widow of fallen Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis.
The other officer had tears. He said, "No, we didn't make it."
That day, Amy lost her college sweetheart, father of her children,
We were married 9 years.
and devoted husband.
I did not think in my wildest dreams that we would not have answers. Like, I thought we would know within that first few months or a year.
But months eventually turned to years.
No, I did not think we would be here 10 years later.
Outside the Bardstown Police Department, there are memorials, and inside, the walls are covered with images of the fallen officer.
Every year, it seems like we feel like, okay, you know, they feel like maybe they're closer.
Right now, the reward stands at nearly $250,000, and the case is being investigated by Kentucky State Police and the FBI.
And then it just never pans out.
Not only has there not been an arrest, but neither police nor Amy knows why it happened.
I, to this day, still have I don't understand, like, why him. I mean, he was well liked.
Before joining the department, Ellis played minor league baseball for a Cincinnati Reds affiliate.
He was very sweet and kind, and he had a big heart, and he would do anything for anybody.
Amy says the college sweethearts also had dreams.
You know, we had plans that, that things that we wanted to do and accomplish and where we wanted to be. And yes, growing old together.
That dream had a tragic ending.
I believe in God's timing, and I do believe in those that are working on the case.
But Amy doesn't believe it's how the story will end.
I know that they are wholeheartedly, tirelessly working on it, and I do trust that one day it will be solved.
Amy has moved away, remarried, and her boys are now teenagers.
They were young, they were 6 and 7.
But part of her heart will always live in Bardstown. And at least once a year, she returns for the memorial honoring her late husband.
I go every year, and I will be there on Thursday as well.
Coming up tomorrow, we'll hear from the people who responded to the scene the night Officer Jason Ellis was shot and killed.
It is a long wait for answers. Stefan, thank you. The father.
Wow. So one thing we could definitely say is that they received a lot of coverage. I'm gonna go to regular old YouTube and type him in and see what the regular people are saying. Y'all don't worry about my search history. It is what it is. Hang on. Why did I fall for that one? Of course they know how he was killed. It said up there they believe they knew how. Yeah, with the 12 gauge shotgun. I'd go back and watch that Monsters Among Us. I'm not gonna stream someone else's stuff like that. Got lots of news coverage over the years. Wow. Bear with me. See what else we can find. I will say that his family's been advocating well for him. A lot of stuff about his legacy. Well, guys, I'm gonna go dig around on Facebook, and I would rather not do that on here. Yeah. So we will pick this back up tonight or tomorrow around the same time. And then tomorrow night, I'm also going to be doing Delphi, so I hope to see people there. If you're catching the replay, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you all next time.